amazing just how many people he's reached. And so he's going to be an awesome speaker when he comes to retreat. So please sign up for retreats. The sign-up sheets are outside. They'll be out there when you're eating lunch, all right? So with that, I'm going to hand over the time to our worship team. We're going to sing a little bit, and then we're going to share a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Welcome. Good morning. Happy Easter to you all. Happy Easter. Can you guys all stand up and, if it's comfortable, and tell each other about, something that you found really interesting today as we went through the Road to Resurrection. If you're a part of Road to Resurrection, thank you so much. That was really awesome. Why don't you tell your neighbors right now what your favorite part of Road to Resurrection is, all right? All right. So I hope you guys are all sharing, something that really stood out to you today. We're going to spend some time and just celebrate what Jesus chose into. That's what we're remembering today, is that Jesus chose to come and to love us, to show us a better way. And in a sense, he chose into the death. But, it's really just to show us how much he loves us. This deep-rooted love. So, you know what? I can't help but just to celebrate. Let's sing about this happy and this joyous day. All right? Greatest day in history. Death is beaten, you have rescued me. Sing it out, Jesus is alive. Empty cross, the empty grave. Life eternal, you have won the day. Shout it out, Jesus is alive. Come on, guys. He's alive. And oh, happy day. You washed my sin away. Oh, happy day. I'll never be the same. Forever I am saved. When I stand in that place, and oh, what a glorious day that you have saved me. One more time. Happy day. I'll never be the same. Forever I am changed. Glory, glorious day. Glorious day. That means we have hope. That means we have salvation from our sins. That means we have a Savior. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for today. Thank you for this day of celebration, Lord. I just pray that even as we share quickly the message, Lord, that you would be speaking to our hearts. In Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Wow. How many of you thought that was amazing? First time you've experienced something like that? Man, I just really want to see the amount of time and energy they spent doing that. So let's give them a round of applause one more time.
And I know Andy asked this. Andy asked you guys to share amongst yourself your favorite part of the tour, but I want to hear from you guys. You know, what was the most powerful part of the tour for you? Most impactful? Maybe something that stuck out to you that you're like, oh, I never knew that. Or it was just like looking at the events of the resurrection with fresh eyes. What were some things? Just shout it out. Which, or you could just shout out which station. Yeah, but you have to say why. Station. Okay. Station. Okay, let's go. Station 1. Why? Maybe station 1.
Oh, that was the donkey.
The donkey. Station. Actually, I really like station 1. You know, it's because Jesus, man. Hey, Ronnie, you do a really good Jesus. Yeah. I think, hey, Jamie, I think on mission team, you should have Ronnie on from now, you know? Does Ronnie do the Jesus? Yeah. How about station 2? You guys? I like prison. Who was in the prison? Nathan. No. Who was in Barabbas, right? And his testimony. Yeah. And station 4. What was that? Each of these stations, the Bible describes it in detail, and each of them has a really. This tour has kind of given you new insight into what Easter is all about, into what, even from the beginning, right? Last week we talked about triumphal entry of Jesus, right? His declaration that he is the king. And, you know, when people looked at Jesus, when he entered Jerusalem, everyone would have thought, wow, what an amazing person. He's going to go on to do great things. He's going to lead us to places we've never been, right? The whole crowd is cheering for him. It's like being at a Super Bowl, you know, everyone cheering for that first stage is here. The second station, the Passover, you guys, you know, you guys experience every single one of those items. And if you look at the Jewish history, right, every single one of those items represents something that happened in the past when the Jews were captive in Egypt, when they were slaves and they cried out to God, God, save us. We need someone to save us. And, you know, every single item, whether it's the haroset. How many of you guys like the haroset? That's like crushed apples and nuts and stuff like that, right? It's supposed to look like mortar if you crush it really good, you know? It's supposed to symbolize just the time of slavery, building things for the Pharaoh, right? These are just reminders. But did you know, like, the Passover, in reality, was pointing to Barabbas, you know, the rebel, the guy who tried to overthrow Rome by gathering together a bunch. Most of us would assume Jesus is the good guy, right? So much trouble. And yet, the people saying God was displaying his love and grace for all of us. That while we were sinners, you know, the scripture says, God so loved us that he sent his son to die for us, you know, to take our place. Instead of us dying on death row, Jesus did for us. And then the cross. Right? What happened at the cross with the soul of Jesus? Most of us will mock her. Where is justice? Where's justice? There's no justice here. Pilate, you scoundrel. You should have judged in fairness. But you didn't. You didn't give me justice. Why am I here on the cross when it should be someone like Barabbas? But did Jesus say that? No. That he knew already that he was going to the cross. If you already know you're going to the cross to achieve something for a mission, you're not going to complain. Jesus was doing exactly what he meant to do. And then look at this and read this. I just really love this. They were at a place where they were, what was a hashtag last week about the disciples? You guys remember? They were confused. When Jesus went into Jerusalem to prepare to die, they were confused. And the funny thing is, this is just going to point out something. Even. Okay. So I'll be good. Now that same day, things with each other, Jesus himself came up and walked along with them. He asked them, "What are you discussing together as you walk along?" They stood still, their faces downcast. Before God and all the people. But we had hope going to redeem patience.
You are, and how slow to believe all that the prophets had spoken. But they urged him strongly, stay. Then their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, and he disappeared from their sight. They got up and returned at once to Jerusalem. There they found the 11 and those with them assembled together. Let's see. Yes. Then this is probably represented you had your hopes and dreams. Or maybe you're like these disciples, you know. It's kind of almost ironic and funny when we read it. Because Jesus is right there in front of them. How many of you had an experience? Where is it? It's like she says right in front of me, but I said, and then she's like, just point to it, you know. And she's like, and then she comes over like right here, you know. And you're like, oh my goodness. Seconds, just right at this thing, 4 dots. Just stare at it. Okay, I'm gonna hypnotize all. No, just stare at it. Just try as hard as you can. Don't look at anything else. Just stare at this for like 30 seconds. Just keep looking at it. You know, try to keep your eyes open. You know, try to keep your eyes open. Just focus, right? Focus right at the nose. Okay, just focus for 30 seconds. Right, as hard as you can. No, you're not looking for anything. You're just staring at it. Just stare at it. Actually, you guys can. It's like right in front of you. I mean, guys. No, this is actually an optical illusion. It's a negative. Anybody get this? And I'm going to time it. I'll give you, not in the background. Hand in the back. Lines? I love how people are just seeing things. All right. 20 seconds. 20 seconds. Yes. A what? Close. 10 seconds. Okay. Okay. There's one other thing in there. All right, time's up. Any last guesses? All right. All right, all right, all right. Never expected this on a Sunday morning. The way you do this is you have to kind of cross your. So I think I'll teach you guys later. So I think I'm going to give it Nathan because he. No. There's in order to see it, and you look at these disciples. You know they still didn't get it. Right? Here's Jesus. You know, last week we talked about undercover boss, right? Boss, disguises himself, goes undercover. This is like really undercover boss, like round 2. They don't see him. Like for some reason they don't recognize him, right? It's maybe something supernatural. They're prevented from seeing as Jesus. And so Jesus is kind of like testing it out. I was like, hey, yo, what's been going on? And they're like, are you like dumb or something? No, he didn't say that. But they were thinking like, do you not know what's been happening? Do you not know what's been happening? Because if you look at verse 17, right, and Cleopas says, talking about Jesus of Nazareth, he was a prophet. Oh, interesting. Powerful in word and deed before God and all the people. The chief priests and rulers handed him over to be sentenced to death, and they crucified him. You know, just listen to the way the disciples describe Jesus. It's like, man, we were so hopeful. He's dead. He's just a prophet. He wasn't the Messiah. You know, he didn't. We hoped that he was the one. We hoped that he would be the one. Right? But he died. And that's it. That's the end of the story. So there's no hope anymore. We thought we were following the right guy. But here's the kicker. Here's the interesting thing. They say, what is more, it is the 3rd day since all this took place. In addition, some of our women amazed us. They went to the tomb early this morning, but didn't find his body. They came and told us that they had seen a vision of angels who said he was alive. Then some of our companions went to the tomb, found it just as the women had said, but they did not see Jesus. You know, basically what they're saying is like, we heard this amazing story, but it can't be true. Like these crazy women, they must have been like high on something, you know, to see angels. I mean, seriously, right? Because back in the day, you know, you don't trust a woman's testimony. They make up stuff. Or at least that's what the guys thought, right? That's why a woman's testimony was not admissible in court. Sorry, girls. That's just the way it was back then, right? So they're like, man, these crazy ladies saying that some angels appeared, saying that Jesus resurrected. But do you realize that at this point, even with the reports of the resurrection, the disciples are still like, he's dead. He's dead. And that's why they're so sad. Right? But Jesus, who's there with them, he's like, do you guys still don't understand what's going on? It's I don't know how many of you had this experience where like a stranger comes up to you and asks you how you're doing, you're talking, and then the stranger says to you, man, Joe, how foolish of you, man. When you understand these things, like I'd be like, what are you talking about? Right? But Jesus is like, how foolish you are, how slow to believe. It's like, you guys are the ones that have it wrong. You don't understand what is going on. That was prophesied, everything that Jesus did, he lays it out before them. Says, you guys still don't understand. And you guys are in your walk. Many of us here call ourselves Christians. We call ourselves Christians because at some point in our life we said we believe in Jesus. We believe in what he did, but most of all, we believe that he resurrected from the dead. Because the resurrection, why we celebrate, is because the resurrection is everything. Jesus. The resurrection, you don't have to prove the Bible's wrong, right? You don't have to prove, like science, like, oh, this proves all this stuff, and Christianity will fall apart. It's that simple. So, if about any of these other complicated things, that one claim that Jesus resurrected from dead, God is true and he loves us. Thinking this whether you are a believer or you're not a believer. Because there's some believers sitting here, it's been so long since you've been raised maybe as a Christian in a Christian home. You've been told what it is that you believe in, what it is that Christians believe in. But the truth is, do you truly believe that Jesus resurrected? And he is Lord. Right? It says here, they asked each other, were not our hearts burning within us? Do you have that burning in your heart when you think about Jesus and what he's done for you? Do you have that heart? It's like, oh my gosh, it's so real. I need to tell others about it. That's what today is all. So as the worship team comes up, and as we celebrate this day, I want to leave you with the words of Paul. The words of Paul in 1 Corinthians. He says, I'll skip all that. He says, for if the dead are not raised, not even Christ has been raised. And if Christ has not been raised, your faith is futile. If you have hope in this, I hope that today, as we celebrate Easter, that you would be reminded of that. Why don't we stand? I'm going to do something. I'm going to say, Christ is risen, and you're going to shout back at me. What are you going to shout back? You can say, yep. No. You're going to say, he is risen indeed. All right, let's try that one time. Christ is risen. Amen. Amen. Amen.
thought I'd reach the other side. Your love never fails. He's never same through the ages. Your love never changes. There may be rain in the night, but joy comes in the morning. And when the oceans break, I don't have to be afraid. Because your love never fails. Your love never fails. Work together for my good. Church, take some time to sing this out. Oh, do we believe that you made all things work together? Church, take some time to sing this out. Oh, do we believe that you made all things work together? I need in the night, but joy comes in the morning. And when the ocean breaks, I don't have to be afraid, because I know that you love me. Your love never fails. Your love never fails. Final.
Son of God, darkness, battle in the grave, war and death, power of the Lord.
way. His perfect love could not be wrong. Now there is no sea, how excellent has been to the We sing hallelujah. We sing hallelujah. The Lamb is overcome. We sing hallelujah. We sing hallelujah. We sing hallelujah. The Lamb is overcome. We sing hallelujah. We sing hallelujah. We sing hallelujah. The Lamb has overcome. Come on, one more time, church. We sing hallelujah. God has sacrificed everything for you. On that cross, He looked on you. Love. The Lamb has overcome. Forever He is glorified. Forever He is alive. He is Yes, Jesus. Lord, just on this day, God, that we can celebrate, God, that forever, God, you are the God who reigns. Lord, you are our living God, conqueror of death. Lord, you came, Lord, to just show us, to remind us, God, that we are a being that is loved. We are a people group that is loved above all else, God. Lord, would your justice, your mercy, and your grace reign forever, God. Lord, when we look upon you, God, as the strength of our life, or the pillar of our life, God. And we look to the cross, God, not as the end of a story, but God, the beginning of the resurrection, the beginning of redemption, God. We thank you, God, for all that you've done, Lord. To continue to just be with us, God. Lord, we respond to you out of the thankfulness, out of love, or God, out of anything that whatever we're going through right now, God, we respond to you. watching it all to Him I owe. Sin has left a crimson stain. He washed it white as snow. But now indeed I find I'm bound and I'm alone, and changeless left the sky, and boundless heart of stone. Oh, Jesus made it all to Him I owe. Sin has left a crimson stain. He washed it white as snow. My soul to sing, my lips shall still repeat. Jesus made it all. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised His life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised His life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised His life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised His life up from the dead. One more time. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised His life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised His life up from the dead. The Savior say, thy strength indeed is all. Child of weakness, watch and pray. Find in me thine all in all. Greatest day.
This day
It's just you and me. Sing it out. Jesus
is alive.
the cross, the empty
Grave, life eternal, you have won the day. Shout it out. Jesus is alive. He's alive. wash my sin away. Oh, happy day, happy day. I'll never be the same. Forever. Yeah.
I stand in that place. At last, meeting face to face. I'm your Jesus, you are mine. So
Forever I am what a glorious day. What a glorious day. What a glorious day. What a glorious day. That you have saved the Lord. Oh, what a glorious day. What a glorious day. That you have saved me. Oh, what a glorious day. What a glorious day. You wash my sin away. Oh, happy day, happy day. I'll never be the same. Happy day, happy day. You wash my sin away. Oh, happy day, happy day. I'll never be the same. Forever I am changed. Glorious, glorious name. This is a glorious name. This is for you have resurrected. Rose again 3 days later.